Alright, hello. Welcome back after talking about very extensively about Satan's Host's, Metal from Hell. It's time to get on to another one-off band, but this one is one of those... Have you ever heard of the... I think I've talked about Metaploitation on here, of course, one of my really early videos, which was the Metal Enterprises video, which was one of my first. And actually, that was my first video. And definitely one of the, and it was goes back to 2013. That was a really early video. But I talked about it, and which Metal Enterprises was a really, Metaploitation, label. There was another label besides Metal Enterprises that were known for Metaploitation. That was Cobra Records. Cobra were definitely known for having quite a bit of Metaploitation bands. Of course, ranging from Convict, which one of the members in this band actually was a part of the Convict band. The album that says, "Go Ahead and Make My Day" album. Of course, which had artwork by Ionis, guy who did Fate's Warnings, Spectre Within, Awaken the Guardian, Obsessions, Scarred for Life, and, so forth. But here we are going to talk about a band that Cobra, definitely did. It was definitely a project of theirs. Again, Metaploitation. And that was PileDriver, which were a Canadian metal band. Yes, I'm throwing a Canadian metal band, but wait. That breaks it. This is supposed to be U.S. power metal, supposed to be bands from the United States, not another part of America. But there's a reason for why I'm adding this certain album here. This is not Metal Inquisition. This is the follow-up to it, which is Stay Ugly. Yes. Now, I figure that that's pretty much the same person that this guy right here, which is Gord Gurchin, also known as the PileDriver and now the Exalted PileDriver, who he pretty much abused on the other album, which is sticking a head of the V guitar onto his, chest, whatever. Obviously kicking the shit out of him, which I guess is supposed to represent the music, because it does, I guess, kick the shit out of you after you're done listening to the album. And right here, obviously it looks like something for a wrestling album. Yeah, like the fucking WWF at the time. And of course there was a WWF album titled PileDriver, so ain't that fucking ironic? And of course, they're named after a wrestling move. And he does look like a wrestler. Jesus Christ. But one thing that makes the sound fit in within this is actually this was recorded mostly by people from the United States. And this is, and this album, which is very US power metal sounding than the debut, which was, of course, Metal Inquisition, which was released in 1984, this being released in 1986. This wasn't even put together at times by Cobra Records. I think it was kinda because of both, David DeFees of Virgin Steel had to pay off some dues, according to our interview with one of the... thing was guy who goes by the name Dan on the Coliseum, who runs the Coliseum, did an interview with him, and he talked about the metal, the three Metaploitation albums that he had to do for Cobra Records, and this was a part of it, and he had to just pay off some money, so he recorded 3 albums, and it's pretty much, this falls in within a trilogy of albums, which falls into Exorcist's Nightmare Theater, which fucking shocked the hell out of me, appeared on an episode of At Midnight, which was when they were talking about as they all talk about stuff that weird stuff that just gets put on the internet, and they came to a site that was talked about on my forum because of we're just talking about how ridiculous the guy was, but that was that person's opinion. It was about some of the worst metal bands, in which picture was thrown in there, but the photo he uses was the wrong photo, obviously. Actually, it wasn't picture. It was actually Sad Iron, but the person used a picture of the band Picture, which were a Holland heavy metal band. But Exorcist was definitely in there, and then also Original Sin, which is the band that did I think it was like Say What You Will or something like that. It was whatever. But this came in within that trilogy, PileDriver, Stay Ugly, and of course he wrote it. And of course the guitar players on here. This wasn't the thing that makes this also very different also from that is this was recorded by a full band than with Metal Inquisition, because Metal Inquisition was recorded by two guys, which was Gord Kirchen and the guy who I believe is him right there, who pretty much was on the album as well for Metal Inquisition. I don't know for sure, but that was used like drum machines and shit like that. But Gord Kirchen was, of course, was asked to be a part of this album. He really didn't write this album. This wasn't really Canadian made. This was a United States made album, and it was definitely by members of Virgin Steel, which I said was David DeFees and Edward Pisuno, who was the guitar player for Virgin Steel at the time. And there is definitely Robert Esposito and Mike Pacino, or I don't know how to really pronounce that last name right. We're just going to call him Mike. That's all we're just going to do. We're just going to call him Mike. So, with that, this was also recorded as stated on the back of this. Yeah, that's very independent looking, that back cover. But this was recorded at mixed at Studio 3973 Island Park, New York. So there you have it. It wasn't recorded in Canada. This is of course, recorded by mostly with only one Canadian member, but recorded by people from the United States. It's very similar with the way with Black Sabbath when they got American singer Ronnie James Dio, and yet Black Sabbath was still considered a British metal band. They just had an American singer as them. So this is kind of the same thing with that. So, but David DeFees is the producer for this album. But Edward Pisuno is pretty much the guitar player with Gord Kirchen as the singer. With that, but they had to make it like with Metal Inquisition, they had to kind of use Pisonium names, Synonium and all that shit. So of course Gord Kirchen himself is PileDriver. Edward Pisuno is Bruiser Burnett. Bruiser Burnett. That's Burnetti or something. Yeah. He actually goes by, because there isn't two guitar players on this, which is funny. So he also goes by John Savage. That's definitely great. Mike goes by Sal Gibson, and of course Hammer is Robert Esposito. Alright, I'm going on too long. Let's just go on to the album itself. Of course, the song is the Incubus, and this starts off like very much what this song would be fitting on the Metal Inquisition album. Starts off with Thunder, just like right now how it's starting off with Thunder, which is very cool. And of course it just goes into that riff, which is very thrashy, but it's also still has that what I would classify as US power metal as well. Again, this would be classified as power thrash. Something very similar to even like, you know, really early Metal Church, Heretic, and of course, Agent Steel. Then we get Metal Death Racer, which is definitely a speed metal tune. Of course, I forgot to mention that at the end of Incubus, here's the screams and other little weird, cheesy, demonic voices that you would hear from like your typical B-rate horror movie. But Metal Death Racer, which is definitely really starts to get that USPM feel to it. The Fire God. This track is definitely, you could tell that this is being played by Virgin Steel. This sounds like a Virgin Steel track. Just from the beginning with that guitar riff and very melodic, and this does really start to feel more like a US power metal album. And then we get Chaos, which is of course back to the sound of, you know, a Metal Death Racer. Very good. That ends side 1. Now it's time to get to side 2 with the track titled The Warning, which is a spoken word intro which do not open the gates to the abyss for all for those, and you know, blah blah blah. Which of course the spoken word intro is actually by David DeFees. I don't know how to really spell that guy's last name that's as good as I can. But of course the singer of Virgin Steel and the producer for this album and the writer. Then it's used as an intro to the Lord of the Abominations. And of course, at the end of the track you just say, the Lord of the Abominations. And this track is again a really just, at times it almost reminds me a bit of Omen. There's definitely a bit of that Omen sound on this one. Something awful like maybe Battle Cry or Warning of Danger. Then we get Flowers of Evil, which right here starts to picking up back to being a little more thrashy. Then we get The Executioner. Now this is another really good track, and this ends it, and just a fucking great track. Of course, before this album ends, you start to hear, you know, sounds of gunshots, which of course, this song can be fitting for the Punisher, Marvel Comics character, and that. This is just a classic album, but in some ways, this really does, I really do put in within this, because it is more of a US power metal album than really that, and it is really more US power metal than you really think, especially when you go into the history of this album. Overall, this is just a classic album, and I went on for too long for this video. Just a great album nonetheless. Of course, like nowadays, Virgin Steel did re-record the track Fire God for one of their albums. Of course, with other tracks from, like, you know, Exorcist and Original Sin, I believe so. I can't really think of that, but really, guitar work from Eder Persono, this is definitely some really good work. I think, to me, this album is also a very serious album than really with Metal Inquisition. To me, Metal Inquisition was a bit more of a hokey album in some places, because again, you had like tracks such as Sex with Satan, Sodomize the Dead, and all that, and that's before with all the death metal bands really started taking their lyrics to the next level. It's like Alien Rape, yeah, really, really. That is so with this album, it's very toned down on that sort of stuff again. You're not going to find any stuff like that. All you're going to find is the Incubus, which is probably the only track that really kind of pushes it to be in that level. Because, of course, knowing what the Incubus is, yeah. You just have to look up what an Incubus is, and you will... It would fit in with the lyrics and lines of that album. But then we get the tracks again, like Metal Death Racer, The Fire God, Chaos, Lord of the Abominations, Flowers of Evil, and The Executioner. So it really ends up being very toned down, but at times it's probably maybe for the best, because of Even though I like the Mental Inquisition album, at times that album just feels very fucking cheesy in some places, and where it just feels so damn hokey. But I do dig it. But I just like Stay Ugly more. Thunder's rolling, rain's gonna come down. I have to definitely, roll my windows or shut my windows so I don't get any rain coming in. So, if you have heard this album by PileDriver, what are your thoughts? If any thoughts, you can put your comments down below. I gotta shut my windows, so I'll be back to talk about another album.